Sure, I have us on the noggin.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to September the 2nd meeting for the Nanaimo Performance Arts Guild. I am calling the meeting to order at 4 o'clock and 36 seconds. Like to recognize, of course, that we are on the traditional territory of the Nanaimo First Nation. And it is an absolute gift to work, play, love, and laugh here on this lovely place. We've got Bill there and Guy, who I saw in the flesh just a moment ago, but there he is electronically too. So welcome to them. First thing, is there an introduction of any late items that we do have on our agenda? We do have a fairly hefty in-camera meeting today that I'm going to get to, but any late items that folks would like to talk about or add at this stage?
There should be a late item.
I see Holly's. Yeah, Holly's was added this morning. But on top of that, is there anything else? Seeing none, we can go ahead and have somebody move the adoption of the agenda for our regular camera. Somebody second? Peter seconds. Those in favor? Unanimous. And 2 hands on the screen. Excellent. Now we're going to look at adoption of the minutes. These are the minutes, I believe, from our May meeting that we're looking at adopting at this point. Did everybody have a look at that? They would have been attached, emailed to, and they should be part of the... Did I actually copy those? Lovely. Okay, so I will read the minutes of the meeting. So present, W. Aaron, A. Blundell, A. Breen, H. Bright, B. Catterson, J. Friesen, S. Letourneau, S. McLeod, B. Minor, G. Segal. Staff, D. Johnson, J. B. Sine, D. Battaglia, H. Richardson. Meeting was called to order at 5:02, introduction of late items, add agenda 7D, program strategy principles, add agenda 7E, resignation of NPAC member, add agenda 7F, NPAC website update, add agenda item 7G, adding items to agenda, add agenda item 7H, frequency of meetings, adoption of the agenda, moved and seconded, amended agenda be adopted, motion carried unanimously. Adoption of minutes was moved and seconded. The adoption of the minutes of the Nanaimo Performing Arts Guild hid in the Ballroom Service and Resources Centre, 411 Dunsmuir Street, Nanaimo, BC, on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. be deferred to the next schedule, Nanaimo Performing Arts Guild meeting on Tuesday, the 25th of June 10th, 2025. Motion carried unanimously. Presentation collaborative feedback session, flooring and paint samples. Adrian Breen, Manager Culture and Special Events, and Brent Bourgogne, carpentry tradesperson, facility operations section, introduced and noted the following. When the city took over management of the OV Arts Centre, the OV funding was allocated to refreshing the floor and painting in the 2025 budget. An extensive planning process is involved for further upgrades and renovations. Previous user groups indicate the new flooring and painting was needed. These recommendations were put into the funding cycle and approved with the work to be completed in 2025. All accessibility audit will likely follow in 2026. As the Guild does not have not-for-profit status, there are limitations to the grants they would qualify. The city owns the OV building and the city allocation team coordinates with the site liaison to allocate the OV regarding financial matter. The cultural team will be looking into available grants. Flooring and paint options were provided for consideration. The samples provided include low pile, commercial grade, copper tile, vinyl flooring, bathrooms and kitchen areas, paint samples and swatches. Adrian Breen, Manager Culture and Special Events, noted that painting is planned for the interior walls of the first and upper floors of the OV. Once paint samples are chosen, a timeline will be created, which will not interfere with the bookings of the OV. Guild discussion took place. Highlights included any surface that reflect light need to be black, as light-coloured paint is more reflective and will affect the lighting on the stage. The beams over the stage walls behind the curtains upstairs balcony need to be dark. The entrance or green rooms could be painted in a lighter shade, integrating a colour scheme in keeping with the branding of the OV logo outside. Timing would be based on contract availability. Adrian Breen, Manager Culture and Special Events, noted that the flooring under the theatre seats in the main theatre area, lobby and in the green room needs to be placed. Staff will investigate the feasibility of redoing the lower level floor. Guild discussion took place and a flooring preference was identified as a hard flooring with sound dampening underlay that is suitable for dance, with a surface that is post accessible and easily cleaned. Carpeting in the entry and on the stairs should be considered. It was moved and seconded that the staff return to a future Guild meeting with a costing report, including options for the Guild's consideration, based on the following recommendations for the Guild. Surfaces that reflect light need to be black. The beams over the stage walls behind the curtains and upstairs balcony should be dark. The entrance and green rooms should be painted a lighter colour. Integrate a colour scheme that integrates with the OV Arts logo on the outside of the building. Consider hard flooring with sound dampening underlay and an accessible and easily clean surface. Consider using carpeting for the entry and stairways. The motion carried unanimously. Discussion, then other business. Discussion re-offer of the donated seating by Echo Players Theatre. Wendy Weir and Guild Chair introduced discussion on the offer of chairs from the Echo Players Theatre Committee. Conversation took place. Highlights included the importance of meeting multi-use mobility and general accessibility needs. The Echo chairs are theatre chairs that we brought into the refreshed space. The chairs are free except for the cost of transportation and installation. The current OV chairs are uncomfortable and noisy, ensuring the condition of the Echo Players chairs to make it worthwhile to replace the OV chairs. It was moved and seconded that discussion regarding the Echo Player chairs be deferred to the June 10th, 2025 Nanaimo Performing Arts Guild meeting, during which time Bill Miner, Guild member, will liaise with Echo Players regarding the condition of the chairs for refit purposes. The motion carried unanimously. The Guild provided a list of questions for B. Minor, Guild member, to ask regarding the chairs, including comfort and overall condition of the chairs. What is the reason Echo Players are replacing the chairs? Do the chairs need to be secured to the floor? What is the deadline for removing the chairs from the Village Theatre? Are the chairs accessible and could they be moved to accommodate wheelchair users? Are replacement parts available for the chairs? Are the chairs easy to set up and take down? Are the chairs suitable for a multi-use space? Verbal report, free security fencing and security measures, 25 Victoria Road, Victoria Arts Centre. Adrian Breen, Manager Culture and Special Events, noted that feedback from user groups and the previous operator was received by staff regarding security concerns. This project includes fencing in front of the venue with a 6-foot-tall wrought iron gate to secure the front entrance of the OV and be locked after hours. A variance is required as the design of the fencing layout must factor in sidewalk space. Funding has been secured with construction scheduled for June 2025. The anticipated completion timeline is within 6 weeks. Verbal report, Culture and Special Events Manager role and voting status. A. Breen, Manager Culture and Special Events, is currently a voting member of the Guild and the City of Nanaimo Culture and Events Manager. Staff feels Ms. Breen would be better able to support the Guild if she was a non-voting staff liaison. Ms. Breen would be taking this request forward to Council along with the request that Nanaimo Performing Arts Guild terms of residence be altered to make her position a non-voting staff liaison. Program strategy principles. Gregory Segal, Guild member, suggested that the Guild set principles for programming include thinking outside of the box for multi-use facility, diversity, disciplines of art, culture, community groups, the OV as a community building, i.e. social and cultural hub, maximize use of the OV, setting short and long-term goals, exposure via standard advertising means, social media and a word of mouth, reaching out to the creative community with a call for submissions for events and ideas that would help subsidize the Guild, communicate events that are already happening, subsidize use for youth and the public, potentially hosting an open house or theatre workshop. It was moved and seconded that discussion regarding a program strategy be deferred to the the June 2nd, 2025 Special Nanaimo Performing Arts Guild meeting. The motion was carried unanimously. Resignation of NPAC member. Breen, Manager Culture and Special Events, advised the Guild that Jackie Casey had resigned from the Nanaimo Performing Arts Guild and that Mrs. Casey passed on her gratitude to the Guild for the opportunity. NPAC website upside. Breen, Manager Culture and Special Events, noted the following: promotion and marketing for the OV is maintained through the city's social media avenues. There are pre-existing OV social media pages that were created by a co-managing group. These are no longer current and providing incorrect information. Staff have created a Facebook page for the OV with a link to information regarding the Guild, contact and allocation information, including storage, and plan to provide an embedded map shortly. Moving forward, the Guild will only use city social media accounts. As the OV is a city-owned facility, fees and charges are set by the council and subsidized rates are not permitted. Staff can coordinate programming at the OV, which means that the Guild can create programs through the city. Requested that the Guild members posting promotional photos of the OV on the new Facebook page tag their photos with hashtag PRC_Nanaimo. It was moved and seconded that the agenda item D, adding items to upcoming agenda, and agenda item E, frequency of meetings, be deferred to the June 10th, 2025 meeting. The motion carried unanimously. Adjournment was moved and seconded at 7 p.m. that the meeting adjourn. The motion carried unanimously, and then attached is a work plan for 2025. That's for today. Wow, you're welcome. Now everybody will be inspired to read their minutes when they come to their home address. So those were the minutes for the May meeting. Are there any omissions or corrections? We have come very far since then, I'm pleased to say. Hearing none? All right, would somebody like to move that the minutes are accepted as speed read by Wendy?
So moved.
Seconded by Arlene. All right. Those in favor? Right. Carried unanimously. Adoption of minutes. Now, we move on to presentations. No presentation for our regular meeting, so we can move directly on to reports. And the first is a verbal report on the OV Arts filming project, and it's introduced by Peter. Peter, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Very briefly, I had a visit to the OV with the James Dean, the person who manages the space, and with the city appointed videographer, and we looked at the space and we talked about potential ways of promoting, and we decided that it probably made sense to pause while we reconsider what's happening with the physical space, because it would be odd to shoot a bunch of footage of a space that doesn't look like it anymore. And so our plan was, at that point, we understood that that work would be done sort of over the summer period. And so our plan was, once the painting and flooring were done, to reconvene. And at that point, I would bring to the committee a sharp brief for what the purpose of the footage that we're shooting is and what the purpose of the promotional materials are, and that we could proceed from there. One other thing related to this that I'll just note is, if it's okay, which goes beyond the OV filming to other marketing things. Is that okay to talk about? I've just been trying to gather a little bit more information about what is possible in terms of how to promote the OV, in terms of our web presence and social media and booking. And so I've received a bunch of information, thanks to many people in this room from the city, and have forwarded some additional questions. I have a good sense now of how many people actually come to the OV page in a given period of time, and how many people look at the booking form, and can also see that it takes people quite a long time to fill out the booking form, much longer than the industry standard informs. So again, hoping that at some point we could formulate a little bit of a marketing plan for how we might create an easier pathway in for people to understand, to find out about, understand, book, and then hopefully advocate a little bit for the OV in the future, but felt like we should wait until we knew a little bit more about what the physical setup was going to be and also the technician availability, which I know we're talking about later. That's it. Any questions?
No, thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
All right. Moving then on to a verbal update on the OV Art Centre painting and flooring, which is introduced by Holly Bright.
Thank you. Is it through the floor? Through the chair? Sorry.
I'd like to disappear through the floor, please.
Through the floor, through the chair. Speaking of flooring, it's just on my mind. So I really appreciate the chance to view this space today, and we had a look at some of the things that I noted in what we would be looking at, just glancing and some infill of planning. And then I went in using the criteria that I had understood from the Guild, that we do want it to be a mixed-use space, which means every discipline has access to it, as well as other kinds of activities in that space. So classes, movement classes, parties, theater in the round. And I think I'll start by saying, I think that it's always important to remember some of the concerns about the OV in terms of safety. So outside, I think we shall always keep an eye to how we can improve that in terms of the neighborhood. And then inside, we have an electrical, everything's fine in terms of safety, but there's some issues that around electrical that need to be addressed to make it a really useful space. And that's really in terms of sockets, like where the sockets are, and maybe the amperage too. I'm not 100% positive about that. And then I also wanted to note that in order to access lighting, whether the stage is at its level now or a proposed level of basically floor level, that there is a concern around the ladder that you access those theater lighting pieces with, and that I think there's actually standards around that we need to be careful of and figure out. So I just those came up for me, and I wanted to put them in as part of my report, just orally. And so for the most part, I spent the majority of my time on the main floor, and in consultation with Steve Cameron from he's a trade supervisor from Parks, Rec, and Culture, John Carter, who has supported a lot of theater design work, and he's a lighting designer, and then Patty Ransom, an interior designer, well-established here in Nanaimo. And what I can say is that with every consultation, I got more and more excited, and things kept shifting and changing in terms of what I thought was going to happen and what might be the best choice for us. And there's just nothing like a professional to really provide the kind of the background for decision making. So in black box theaters, there's generally not. Okay, let me go back up a little bit. We decided on mixed use, and the use that it has right now is proscenium, basically. It doesn't have wings, but it's still a proscenium organized space. And in order to make it accessible for everyone and for all the uses we proposed, the recommendation is that we take the stage out, that the crossovers, the back stage, that it all comes out and everything gets dropped to ground level. And a floor similar to the one that's on the stage goes from the upstage area all the way to the concession. And then it'll be covered in masonite, painted black. That we do a lot of work to remove pieces of wood that are attached to the wall that don't need to be there, and all of the bandages and crisscrosses and lines that create confusion when you look at that space. So get rid of them, and that really is kind of part of prep for painting. We're going to get rid of the wainscoting on, I've said this in this report, house right wall, wainscoting on the concessions stand. We're going to get rid of the texture on the walls in the foyer and on the ceiling. And then I propose that we wall in the area where the utility sink is in the dressing room. We still require access to the accessibility washroom, so we just make a corner there and a solid room there for more space, either as a dressing room, but probably more likely as a storage space, because we want risers and chairs that are movable. And in order to do that, we need to store them, and we don't want to schlep them up and down the steps. So they will require to go into that space for storage, which means we have to either see if those two doors that are already there will work, or close them up and open a new door that's a bigger barn door scenario, or I don't mean barn door as in slider, I mean a bigger door, or have two doors there so we can see what works. Doors are not that hard to put in that kind of a scenario. Scenario. So what else is critical? If you saw the picture on what I sent you, that's kind of the idea that has arisen, which is to create risered seating, and it's fairly steep risered seating after the third row. So we'll have accessibility on the first row, and with no stage in there, you can add a row of seats.
Would you like me to bring up on the screen, Holly?
Oh, sure, yeah. And it would be, so it would just be gradual riser, and then the last 3 rows will be a little bit more steep. And that's very common in black box theater spaces. I don't want to get, there's so many things. It's like everything is interconnected, and you kind of can't make one decision without making another. So fun fact, underneath the stage, because it's an enclosed space, there's a sprinkler system. It gets removed. It's active, and it's fine to have it removed. So I was really excited about that, and it's, one of those things that Steve helped to figure out. He's been doing all this kind of background work to make sure of what is possible and what is under the floor that we intend to lay and that sort of thing. So this floor that's currently on the stage will be the floor all the way to the concession stand. It can start from the stage to the concession stand if we don't have time to do the whole floor before the first show, and if the first show is depending on the arrangement that's in there right now. So we need to talk with a couple of the renters coming in before December. The next open space for completing that piece, if we have to leave it for now, would be December. And that depends on the installers. In terms of the balcony, we'd like to take the pipe balcony out and put in plexiglass. We may or may not have money left over this time around for that, and put in 2 rows of seating, the second one on risers. And then around, as you round the corner, we'd like to open that up as well and have side seating at the top. So we'll have basically a right angle of seating at the balcony level. So we're adding seats, in fact, by doing that, or at least keeping them the same. I think there's about maybe like 8 more seats that can be added in doing that. And then if you want to add another row in the front, you can do that. So basically it means that the seating ends at the balcony instead of under the balcony. And what that can do is leave a gallery space and a lobby gathering space between the seating and the concession stand. So in terms of physical-ish changes, that's what we're looking at. Upstairs, not really any physical changes. I mean, for sure, there's a consideration of maybe looking one day with an architect at removing the balcony. It is structural. And then there's a little, hello. There's a little bit of a lip on the current lighting booth that hangs over that we can remove, but we can't remove that lighting booth because it has an electrical panel, and we're not sure about asbestos yet. There's also a recommendation to move the office walls in by 2 feet. those offices are not even used right now. But anyway, it's something to think about for, whether we want to do that now or in the future and what that means. Somebody else suggested just removing them all together, not even having the offices, but I'm not sure about that. So there's that. And then in terms of color, what has been really fascinating is this whole shift. Like initially it was recommended that we, coordinate with the outside. So when you walk in, it's like a cohesive entry, except that the washrooms are green and they're not anything like the outside. So I had been working on purples and, kind of orange hues to kind of do a little bit of coordination, but nothing, where the inside is distinct, not necessarily the outside. But then when I walked in this morning, I was like, that changes everything because you can't like have a mauve wall and then walk into a green wash. I mean, you can, but we're defeating a purpose. So the designer came and met with me today, and what she said is her strongest recommendation is to get rid of all of the bits and pieces that are not necessary, that cause confusion, and to make this opportunity as fit within our budget. So make choices that fit within the budget and do the job that we need done. So to that end, and because of the confusion that can happen when you take all the seating out and all the tables out and you have a black space in one end of the room and like a deep, okay, we'll say green or mauve color on the other end, it's not going to really be all that aesthetically pleasing. You're going to have two rooms kind of combined into one and kind of can't really, what are you going to do there? How are you going to make that beautiful? So the suggestion is that everything is black. So from upstage all the way through to the foyer is black, that we accent with gold and with lighting fixtures and lighting tracks. And then she also suggested that the concession box itself be painted in a black and white stripe. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's just black and white stripe on that whole box. And then the inside of that box is a tone of green that goes with the washrooms. And it's a little fun and a little bit of a surprise when you walk in. And then that if we want to, we can have like a white sign with box office, like an old, she's looking at retro theater kind of idea over the box office. And we don't really need anything over the concession. We know what that is. So that's the proposal. And I'll take questions. Hopefully everyone had a chance to read what I sent out, or yeah, I think I've covered everything. And in some way it's different than what I proposed because of the color of paint. So if everyone's okay, then we'll move forward.
So
If you have any questions.
I think what I'm going to do as well is, because we've crossed over between your report on just the flooring and the painting and into the proposal as a late item about the stage and all that. And are we okay with staff if we just blend that together now and have a discussion about those?
Through the chair, I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and give Holly some direction as far as where we go with the floor and the paint and the obviously the other things that come into our work plan. And I'll come back to it because I've got some homework for everybody about that moving forward to our next meeting. But knowing that our next guild meeting is towards the end of October, giving Holly some leeway as our representative and direction from the guild with where we go with this progressive plan of what I heard was moving ahead with floor and paint where we wouldn't have to backtrack. So if it is with the general plan of moving forward in creating a consented black box space, that we go ahead and do that. Is that correct, Holly?
It is, and I just also want to say that if you desire a stage, a raised stage for your event, you can put the risers in there. We have really sturdy risers that the city uses already, and if we use that same kind, you can reinstall your own risers. You can set up your own backstage and wings, however you wish to. And then I also just wanted to say that downstairs, we were going to look at doing the same floor in the studio there, leaving the little stage there, putting a nice coat of probably some really warm, light color, like a white and off-white or something like that for the downstairs space, and just cleaning it up and making it simple and beautiful.
So for those who weren't able to attend at the OV, Holly gave a very good description of potentially, if we decide as a guild to move into a multi-use space and we decide to take down the current stage structure and obviously remove the seats that we would have to do the full floor, that those and any other theatrical or dance or whatever forum, black box forum, we could create using risers and single chairs. So we can create a proscenium theatre with risers and for the stage and risers for the chair. We could create a theatre in the round. We could create a dance floor for the whole area. We could create a runway for fashion shows, all using those risers. Is what those of us who are visual learners learnt in the theatre before the meeting today. So, any questions or comments? Arlene.
Through the floor up to the chair. First of all, I think Holly has done a fabulous job getting these people, these advisors together and going through all of this and making all these arrangements and all this discussion. And I guess on behalf of all of us, I would like to thank her for her work because it's marvelous. It's a really important step forward, I think, that she has done. And were these people that these consultants, were they free of charge, or is there a cost involved in their?
Through the chair up to the sky. No, they contributed their time. I mean, Steve is the city staff, but John Carter and Patty Ransom contributed their time.
So no invoices coming from them?
No invoice.
Wonderful. Well, that's fantastic. So I think that, and include those two, Patty and John, and including Steve, is it appropriate to send them a thank you letter on behalf of the Guild? I mean, if they have donated this time and service, we should recognize that some way.
Thank you for that.
Would that be appropriate, do you think, Holly? Or?
Through the chair, yeah, it's fine
Yeah.
with me. I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Good. And as far as what to do next, I'd like to hear what Holly thinks she would like to do next. So maybe what do you think would be a good next step?
I
Okay.
confess, through the chair, I confess that the black scared me. While I absolutely trust Patty Ransom's skill and experience, as well as her logic for everything that she shared, and can see the potential for an elegant, somewhat whimsical place that we can be really proud of, and that it is completely usable for everything, and we just get to depend on lighting.
So what should we do next?
So, Arlene, I'm just going to go through with
Okay.
questions first.
Okay, yeah,
Other questions, other discussion groups.
yeah, something, but anyway, later.
Okay.
Thank you. Through the chair, thank you, Holly, for all your work on that. This is really wonderful. Just coming to numbers, right? And I know you did a lot of work on that and probably don't have time to give a projected budget, but that's one of the things of what will all of this cost us to do is a question that I have, and I'm not expecting you to have the answer. I'm just putting that out there because it's beyond, paint and carpeting, right? The budget that we currently have. And so what we would be going forward to asking the city for, or potentially looking for other funds to support this.
Through the chair, thank you. Super important. I have an idea that it's actually going to come in our budget. I did talk with the floor installer or designer actually, and his suggested potential cost was perfectly in line. I'll know for sure because he's coming through, the installer is coming through in the next couple of weeks, and I'm waiting for him to tell me when he's coming, and he'll give us the final quote. Then we'll do a different kind of flooring on the ramp, the steps, and the foyer, which requires to be a vinyl for load in and load out sort of purposes. And we're working a little bit. I just learned that there might be an opportunity for some floor support around that as well in terms of pricing. And then the paint should, like, they've already, it's for the whole building, I think, too. So there are some places where we're not going to change the texture on the wall, but I think I'm pretty sure that Steve indicated that that's not necessarily part of our budget, and the heater repair and certainly the wainscoting removal is kind of preparation for painting, so it's just not that, it's not that expensive, but at the end of the day, it does add up, so we'll see. Yeah, that's next.
Yeah.
It's confirming all that.
Okay, thank you, Holly.
Peter?
Through the chair. But that doesn't include the risers, right? That's a whole separate. So for now, we would be working with the existing seating setup, even with a new floor, or potentially in an intermediary period?
Actually, the thought was to ask the Port Theatre or the university to borrow their risers to go ahead and start using the riser system. And I do think that we need to check on the chairs and what kind of chairs we can use, because I think they do need to be taught together in certain segments for safety in case of fire and people evacuating and chairs not being thrown all over the place. So that's something that's really important and has to be looked at before we know for sure what kind of chairs we can install. But those are separate budgets.
Okay, thank you. And I see Adrian hovering there.
Thank you. Through the chair, when you said chairs, Holly, it reminded me that our director, Darcy Osborne, had noted when you were talking about chairs earlier that we do have interlocking chairs at Bevan, and something like that, or similar chairs could potentially be used. So I wanted to remember to say that at the Guild, and just, sharing for the group that, the Guild, when it was formed, was dropped in, to our 2025 to 2034 10-year project plan, which every city facility has. So while the painting and the flooring that you initially were discussing and that Holly has been doing her research on was for 2025, there is money in the plan for 2026, 2027 in terms of critical systems for the building. So our facilities team that Steve is a part of has been working really closely with our facility asset planning team. So what Darcy had suggested is really, if you're the next steps, if you were to break your planning and your goals into stages, then that could be shared with staff, and then that could be planned in both around that 10-year planning process as well as the bookings for the OV, and you could move in stages, and part of that would be applying for grants as well. But it's certainly it's doable. It just, not everything all at once, of course. So I do have some feedback from a guild member who wasn't able to attend that I said I would share, but I can wait till everyone at the table has had a chance to comment.
Go ahead, I see Michael.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think what needs to happen is there needs to be a discussion of what gets done and break it down into phases so that we have a clear idea of how we move forward. I think there's a ton of great suggestions that have been brought forward. Thank you. And if there's going to be a discussion, I would love to be part of that. Many of you probably don't know that I have 25 years of experience as in construction, and a number of those years in commercial work, and I've also been part of the planning and building of theater spaces in the past as well. So I can probably be of help in that discussion, breaking things down. The problem I see going forward is that, as you, I think, mentioned earlier, is a lot of these issues are interconnected. We can't remove the stage and paint the floors if we're not going to get rid of the chairs that are in there right now because they take up all of that space. So the things are intimately interconnected, and so there's a discussion about how to break those things down into functional phases where things can be done. And looking ahead at the electrical, for instance, having been involved in electrical renovations for commercial spaces in the past, it can be a major nightmare where work has been done in the background and can be very confusing. So that's something to be looking at down the road. Thanks.
Thanks, Michael. Peter?
Yes, through the chair. I think that's really smart, and I kind of wonder whether what we can do is formulate what the end vision should be. Like, for instance, we agree it should be a multi-use space with sprung floor or semi-sprung and all black, and we want to do all of these things. And then maybe either you, Michael, or you, Holly, or somebody can work with the folks at the city to actually break it down, because I think it would be, I will just say, for me, it would be very hard to say what should go first and what should go second, because I'm not an expert in any of these things. And it seems like you might have more expertise than, at least than me. Maybe others around this room have expertise. And the city certainly has expertise. So I guess what I'm saying is I think it's unrealistic for this committee to break it down into pieces. I think it's more realistic for us to say, this is what we think should happen. And we could prioritize and say, these things are more important than others, but I feel like we need experts to tell us what happens when, personally.
Thanks, Peter. I think what I quite like to do is propose that we have a motion to give Holly leeway to carry on with the flooring quotes that she's got, like getting the actual numbers, so that we're continuing to take a step forward. I hear that we don't want to go so far ahead that we mess somebody's season up because they're planning for a certain layout in the theatre and it's not going to be there. We, of course, aren't going to be that. We also don't want to get halfway through construction something and realize we've got to tear the building down. But I'd quite like to propose that we give Holly the jurisdiction to carry on with the journey that she's been on over the last 3 months, gathering the facts so that we can adequately apply that to the work plan. I think she is fully aware that our season has started. People are preparing, they're in rehearsal, they're ready to come forward. All of us in the art field know what that's like and what that preparation is. But I also feel quite a strong desire not to get our tires stuck in the mud, again, as a guild, as far as over-discussing things. So may I go ahead and make a motion to give, or Peter, do you want to discuss that a bit before we do that, before we put something on the floor?
Sure, just, through the chair, I would just say yes and.
Yeah.
For me, it would be that kind of a motion, if Holly's willing to do all that work, would be fantastic, but also parallel pathing somebody with expertise, breaking it down into reasonable stages, so that we're not only pursuing the short term, we're also pursuing the long term at the same time.
It goes hand in hand, I think, with assets and facilities at the same time, I believe, which is part of ultimate planning, she says,
You're
looking at Adrian.
me, so I'm thinking you want, yeah. So our facilities management team is currently working on a project to renew critical building and life safety systems. So that includes fire suppression, electrical, and plumbing. And they're in the design development stage now. So when Steve and Holly began work on this project, Steve reached out to them and said, this is what's going on with the 2025 renewal projects for the OV. And some of this is going to involve electrical. Some of this is going to, some of these things may make more sense to do together. Some of these things may make more sense to wait for, and some of these things may make more sense to move ahead, knowing what the end goal is. So they are working closely together, and they're aware of what Holly and Steve are working on. So we do have that flexibility within the 10-year plan, if you will. I'm just looking at my notes here. Yeah, so projects may change, and this is understood. And in that case, there's opportunity to go back and revise. And the 10-year project plan is revisited every year, and there's opportunity to reprioritize. So there's actually a point, early in 2026 when that facilities asset team will actually be reaching out to the different cultural partners and to everyone within the city, but within our realm, the cultural partners that we support, such as the OV, the Port Theatre, the Gallery, the museum, the Military Museum, and they'll do a walkthrough of that facility. We actually happened upon Wendy when we did it last year, because Wendy was in for a booking at the OV, and they'll go through and they'll look at those spaces with us in those spaces, as opposed to within a boardroom, and facilities staff is there as well, because everything that they do is hand in hand. So it will, as I was saying earlier, the Guild has come in to the plan in 2025, but we'll be able to have much more of an understanding of that longer range and how everything works together. And the work that you're doing right now that Holly is leading for the Guild is a really good way to come into that, because, as she's discovered, it's painting and it's flooring, but there's other elements too. And rather than floor to floor and then not be able to have that work properly, it makes more sense to be able to look, with a more holistic view at all these things. May I just share the feedback I got from a Guild member before we get to a motion? I just want to make sure that I do that for her. Bonnie Catterson was intending to attend today and was unable to attend. And she just wanted to share with the Guild that she is not supportive of the plan to level the stage and would make it hard for the work that she does in there. And in case there's a vote she's not present for, she wanted the Guild to know her feelings on that. So just sharing that forward from the email she sent me.
Okay, thanks, Adrian. Go, Peter.
Thank you, through the chair. Sorry, one more thing. Are we, at this point, able to agree on generally where we want to go? Like, do we know enough to maybe, because I think I heard you say having Holly pursue getting more details about costs and things, but could we at least at this moment say we generally like the idea of, say, fully seamless black? We generally like the idea of movable. Can we make that kind of commitment as a group, or do people need more information? And is that helpful to you to know?
Through the chair, I'm interested in everybody's feedback. I think in some way, working in collaboration is really challenging, while it's also really important. So yeah, everybody's feedback is really important, and whether or not we can address those concerns within the context of what the plan is for me the most important thing.
Arlene?
Thank you. Through the chair, so your motion would be for Holly to have free rein in going ahead with what she has been working on. Is that right?
Not free rein,
Well-
just that she keep taking the steps forward to gather. She's getting the quotes for the
Right.
for the contract who's coming through. Bonnie's show is the show that is up in October, so I think we have to be respectful of not taking the stage down between September the 2nd and Bonnie's show, if possible. During that time, there obviously is collaboration that's got to go back to say, but we can create a proscenium stage, etc. And Peter's point is that the long-term goal is to create a space that not only has the proscenium option, but the option for theatre in the round.
Right.
Everything that we mentioned. So not carte blanche, but keeping the progress moving as far as steps towards the ultimate goal.
So Holly, do you need more consultants to work with you on this?
No, excuse me. Through the chair, no, just prices. I'll work with, Steve
you're
from the
just
city will manage the paint purchases. They have a particular account with a particular company, so we'll probably use that. And then I just need to get the floor consultation, and
So what would we need by our October meeting? We would just need the budget and the plans for...
I have a question for Holly. What if and everybody else as a point, what if the flooring and the paint come in and the experts that Holly is consulting say, look, we can do the floor and we can paint the walls without taking down the stage, and it won't impede the progress of the next step. And we can provide risers and chairs for the next show. Do we go ahead with that? Because our next guild meeting is actually at the end of October and not at the beginning. So if we
after.
don't make a decision on this today, then we stall out until the
Right.
end of October.
And just one more thing before I shut up. Do I have to make a motion to send a thank you letter to these people? Or who does it? I don't need, you don't, Samantha doesn't think I need to, so I won't. So who will do it?
I believe our wonderful staff at
Somebody on staff?
could do it. And is that appropriate to
Yeah,
suggest
through
that?
you, I think staff can work with you as the chair and send a
excellent.
draft through to
I
you,
get
and
to
you
do
can
it.
sign off on it.
And
Or Holly?
I'm happy to.
Holly's
yeah.
volunteering. All right, thanks. Moving on.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Arlene.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Holly.
Peter.
Yeah, what I was going to say is I think, yes, we should agree, maybe, I don't know if it's motions or what, but we should agree to that. Like, do we agree that it's fine to go ahead and get the new flooring, leave the risers, get the new painting done in that time if possible? I mean, I would say yes, because that is incremental progress. It's not something you're going to have to undo. As long as we're continually moving forward without having to undo things, then my perspective is yes. I know that guy has also been, I think.
Has he
trying
been
to
waving like
helping-
mad?
Yeah.
No, I can wait.
Okay, Guy, I recognize you.
Thank you. Through the chair, I think I personally found Holly's vision and work really inspiring. I think this is the most cohesive picture that we had for the OV since I think we began. I'm in full support, and I think we need to, whatever procedural things we need to do to push that vision along, I think it should be our goal. I think I also want to say that I think it's in line with a lot of the things we've mentioned here, the multi-use and other things. So I just want to express support and whatever needs to be done to give Holly or us that's my point, to move ahead.
Okay, is any other further discussion or questions?
Lenny, did you actually make a
I didn't. I didn't. It was all in the discussion mode. Did you write something down that was a motion? There is a suggestion. Adrian, I am keeping my eye on you,
I
as
know
you know.
you're keeping you through the chair. I sure know who you are. I didn't write it down. What I'm hearing is that the guild would like Holly. I should probably put a word in between there. The guild would like to empower Holly to continue working to gather quotes and information on staging and to work with staff to see what that first stage would be and when it can be scheduled.
And to implement it?
And then there was a piece too, I think is important that you said around recognizing the Kismet production happening in October and that the stage would remain intact for that production.
Go ahead, Holly.
Yes, I think I'm pretty sure that the new floor can be laid from the stage to the concession. And whether or not it's the most efficient use of a funding, I'm not sure. I don't know what that means. If it's all the same for the team that would be installing or not, or if the difference is material when they do that. And I think the other piece would be, I hesitate to do anything because I'm not even sure if Bonnie's using the crossovers and all of those. So I think that's really important. And I know it's hard to make a change when you've got a particular thing in mind. So I think we could check in with her, and I think Western Edge has the next show. And then, again, the first opening for any other significant changes is in December, and we just notify the community that this is what the space will be. And if you would like a proscenium stage, it will be a risered stage. And meanwhile, we have to make sure we can borrow risers to do the work.
Okay, so
I'll
I'm
drive
now.
the car.
Thanks. I think I'm now ready to. Oh, sorry. No, you had a second thought.
I just wanted to say that the idea of project management is so critical, and I really, really appreciate that for this, especially as a contractor type person, and that my goal has been to make sure that the space is accessible for everybody for all their ideas, and that it's done in a way that we move forward and we don't tear things out to do the next step.
And I'm incredibly optimistic in Wendy World that there will be a time and place where we can break into subcommittees and use all kinds of expertise down the road, should Wendy World ever come into being. All right, I am ready to make a motion that the Guild empowers Holly to carry on incremental work with flooring and paint in cooperation with city staff in facility and assets towards our overall plan for the OV Theatre, whilst not impacting anybody's season between now and our upcoming meeting. I'm just going to wait for staff to speed type that.
Okay, it was moved and seconded that the Guild empower Holly to carry on incremental work with flooring and paint in cooperation with city staff towards the overall plan for the OV while not impacting anyone's seasons between now and the upcoming season.
No, between now and December.
Between now and December, please.
I don't think it was seconded.
I don't, yeah, that was just my motion at this point.
She said it was seconded.
Oh,
But I will second.
That's what Peter. Now it's been seconded. We good to change December? All right, those in favor of?
I'd like to discuss.
Oh, you'd like to discuss? Sure.
I'd like to amend the motion.
Okay, go for it.
Thank you. I'd like to suggest an amendment to the motion. Implied in your motion is that we approve the general plan moving forward, but that's not expressed in the motion.
The general plan towards moving towards a back box.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to, should amend it to put it in the motion?
I would suggest that there needs to be wording in there that the Guild is in support, in principle, of the proposed design changes as outlined today.
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be its own motion. Maybe. That way we can refer to the document that. Through
Go
the
ahead,
chair.
Peter.
Can we maybe just have an initial motion, which is to say that we are in support of moving in the direction that Holly has outlined in that document, and then a second motion, which is the one that you read?
Yeah.
Sure. So the first motion is, what is the first motion?
It's what Michael said,
So-
but
Go ahead, make the motion, Michael.
Thank you. I move that the Guild acknowledges its support in principle of the proposed design changes as outlined today.
I'll second that motion.
Do we need to state what those changes are?
Move that the Guild acknowledges their support in principle of the changes outlined?
Yeah.
In here.
Oh,
In Holly's report.
okay.
Holly?
Through the chair, I think my report might say something about paint colors varying because I hadn't met with the designer then. So what's on the table right now is that
Is the
It's in principle, sorry.
okay?
That's okay. I've already like, may I suggest that it is towards a multi-use space? Is that acceptable, Michael?
Yes, that sounds good. So there would then be our support in principle of the proposed design changes toward a multi-use space as outlined by Holly today.
Okay, that is the motion. Can we have a seconder? Peter seconds. Anybody, any further discussion from our electronic humans, one of which is just a shadow against the window? Very ominous. Good. All right, seeing no discussion, those in favor of accepting that motion, please? Anybody opposed? Nope, that is passed by unanimous vote. So now we may move on to the second motion, which is, I believe, it stands as it was read. Do you want to just read that once more, please, Heather?
It was moved that the Guilds acknowledge their support in principle.
No, that's the first one, so the one that I moved?
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, it was moved and seconded that the Guild empower Holly to carry on incremental work with flooring and paint in cooperation with city staff towards the overall plan for the OV while not impacting anyone's seating between now and December.
Right, and that was seconded by Arlene. Those in favor of that motion, please? Anybody opposed? Guy, I didn't see a hand there, do you?
No, I'm not opposed. I'm in favor. Sorry.
Okay, you were just napping. Okay, good. All right. Then that is unanimously passed. All right, now, wonderful, folks, well done. So where we were going with this was the next part of other business was just looking at our work plan homework. I don't want to dwell too much on this because we really have to get to our in-camera portion of this meeting that we didn't have enough time for last session. But basically, you'll see in your package a work plan draft as it stands of directions that we're moving in. You'll see a report from James as far as that was from our tech, Justin McFadden. concerning what lights need to be replaced. And I'd like for our October meeting for folks to come back with specific items as far as next to-dos, for financial requests, for grants, for where we go with our work plan specifically. By then, we'll know where we are with flooring and paint and next stages. And we may have more quotes, but if there's something that you know specifically that we need to move ahead with, something that popped into my head was, of course, currently, even in its current environment, our only way to adjust lights is most non-work safe. And we really should be looking at hiring lifts and that type of thing. So that type of thing that would go hand in hand with light improvements and take away the work plan ideas to practically bring suggestions at our next meeting.
Just a question for clarity, through the chair, through the floor, through the chair.
Through the chair.
Sorry. Through the chair, through the table, through
Don't
the stage.
tempt me.
Do we literally just bring them, or do we send them in advance as part of the pre-read? What's the preferred?
It would be nice to have pre-reading.
Okay.
It limits discussion, so pre-reading is always gratefully accepted. It helps if we've got any displays that we need to pull up for our wonderful staff, to have them in advance.
Can we be given a date
Yes.
by which that should happen?
When
Middle
is
of a
our,
deadline.
Janet, you should speak to that really, because you're the ones that need to know when things are in.
Somewhere. I have way too many tabs.
Are you looking for when the next meeting is?
Is that what you?
I wanted to know when do we need to submit by? The next meeting is on the 28th of October.
Yeah, October the 15th.
October 15th.
Typically about 2 weeks
Yeah.
prior
Okay.
is enough time for me or
So the 14th.
Let's go October the 10th.
October.
bearing in mind that I will also be deep in grant season. So earlier is better
Okay.
because I will be inundated.
I will go October the 10th.
Okay, thank you.
And Adrian?
Thank you, through the chair. I was just going to add for additional clarities that can be a rolling item because the work plan is a constant on our agenda. I know we're spending a very small amount of time on it today because we are getting back to the in-camera from July. But that can be, sort of 2 weeks before the next meeting, and Jana perhaps could send a little notation to the Guild of when that deadline is, and then we can have that pre-reading for the work plan. What this updated one is staff has just taken all of the Guild's discussion and placement of items in the work plan from the minutes from previous meetings and just built it out with what your suggestions were for that work plan. So that's your work that's just been incorporated since last time you saw it. And the tech report was actually a Guild motion that staff would reach out to James and Justin and obtain this report. So that's why that's there.
Okay. Great. Okay. I see a furrowed brow, Holly.
Through the
Please
chair.
be aware that I'm watching the clock, folks.
I know. Through the chair, I just wish to be sure of something. So for instance, we won't go forward with any painting or flooring until October, even if it fits in the budget? And as long as it doesn't impact anybody else? Like if, for instance, September, people are available?
We will go forward.
We will. Okay,
We
great. I
will.
just wanted to
We
clarify.
will go forward as long as
That
it does,
beyond-
as long as it's incremental and it doesn't affect somebody's season.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes.
I just wanted to go back to the work plan and thank you for bringing that back. I think it'll be helpful in setting our meetings forward, as you've said, Adrian, that it's a standing item in our agenda and sets some accountability and movement forward. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Trying my hardest, just not very good at this, folks. All right. Okay. Oh, no, we're not okay.
So sorry, we are okay. The OV tech report from James, do we need to do anything with that? Is that part of our review that you want us to come back with? Okay, thank you.
I really want you to read it, take note. He's included many websites pointing out which lights are there. It's something that we asked of him, and it is something that we identified as a change, as needing. Okay, wonderful, well done. Okay, so now I believe I have to adjourn the regular part of the meeting. Yes,
There is one more item on the agenda.
there is?
Yeah. It
Okay.
was, although I think we actually did talk about this, it was discussion potential for stage redesign.
Yes, we did that. We fortunately, mercifully, actually covered that all in one fell swoop.
Sandwich it all together.
Yes,
Carry on.
yes, we deviated around it. So now, I would like to call for adjournment of the regular meeting, please.
Just do the procedural motion to move into in camera.
And then I do the adjournment?
Adjourn at the end, yes.
Oh, okay, all right. I had that I adjourned twice. So then I will just read the procedural motion. Not that this is confusing or not. Okay, here we go. So, that the meeting be closed to the public in order to deal with the agenda items under the Community Charter, Section 90.1. A part of the meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is one of the more of the following. A, personal information about an identified individual who holds or being considered for a position as an officer, employee or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. And C, labor relations or other employee relations and the consideration of whether a council meeting should be closed under provision of the subsection or subsection 2. All right, where do we go? Okay, I see that from Peter, seconded. Samantha, sure? Yep. Those in favor? And we're off.